For the past several years, I've been creating recipes for shelf-stable meals in jars. Now, as you can imagine, pasta meals are some of the easiest to make, and they tend to be really popular, as in everybody in the family likes them. Today, I'll show you 5 just add water pasta meals that will help you get a delicious dinner on the table in under 30 minutes. My millionaire spaghetti is rich and saucy and cheesy. It's got a combination of ground beef and sausage in it. It is so yummy. My Cajun chicken pasta was inspired by a dish I had at a restaurant, and it's got a good kick to it. There's some spice in there, so flavorful. The beef stroganoff has a fantastic sour cream sauce. It tastes just like my mom's recipe. The chicken and noodles recipe is based on a Pioneer Woman recipe. Such a comforting casserole. And then my cheesy shells and beef is reminiscent of a hamburger helper with a twist. All of these meals are tasty and sure to please. Welcome to the Freeze Dried Foodie. My name's Kareth. Here you'll find delicious recipes that feature freeze-dried ingredients. Now, I use a lot of Thrivalist, but they've gone out of business, and you can use other brands in my recipes. Lots of us have food stores that we need to know how to cook with. On this channel, I'll show you how I cook with mine. First up, we have $1 Million Spaghetti. I think it's called that because it is super duper rich. It's an Alfredo sauce that's combined with a meat sauce, and it's all covered in mozzarella. Well, it's really, really decadent. You might have seen on the internet, there's different versions of this. Some people call this millionaire spaghetti. Some call it $1 Million Spaghetti. But it's either a combination of a red marinara and meat sauce with a cream cheese based sauce or a meat sauce with an Alfredo sauce. I'm going to do the Alfredo sauce version. I'm just going to season this up with some yummy seasonings, put a good bit of cheese in there, and we're going to have a fantastic dish on our hands. I'm going to start with a quart-sized jar because I wanted about 4 servings. We actually got 5 servings out of this. I used a 7-ounce bag of spaghetti, and I went ahead and broke up that pasta into thirds so it would fit better in the jar. From time to time, you're going to see me add some sauce mixes to these jars, like tomato sauce, bechamel, cheese sauce, that kind of thing. I have copycat recipes for all of those sauce mixes on my channel, and all of those copycat recipes are a 1-to-1 substitution for what you see in here. I suggest you add about 1.5 cups of meat. I used half sausage crumbles, half ground beef, and I like to pulse those in the blender first so that they fit better in the jar and they cook up nicer. Now, I love the green bell peppers in here, but of course, if you don't like those, you can just leave them out. The tomato dices are great because it helps to kind of give that marinara sauce a little bit of texture. Into the baggie, I'm basically going to build an Alfredo sauce. The bechamel sauce, heavy cream powder, butter powder, and then Parmesan cheese. So that's basically the makings of Alfredo sauce. I like to keep it separate because I want to add it later in the cooking process, so I went ahead and put that in a bag. And you can go ahead and get an oxygen absorber in there. This is kind of a tight fit, but it does fit. Now, on top of $1 Million Spaghetti, I like to put more cheese. So I'm going to show you that you can use freeze-dried cheese for this. You can store some freeze-dried mozzarella in just a little jar next to your spaghetti jar. That's a 1/2 pint jar. And this is what you can store on your pantry shelf. If you decide you really like $1 Million Spaghetti, you can make several of these in advance and have them on your pantry shelf, ready and waiting for you. And if you don't have the mozzarella or you don't want to use freeze-dried cheese, you can just make yourself a note to have some freshly grated mozzarella whenever you make this dish. I ended up adding 4 tablespoons of water to get this mozzarella good and refreshed or rehydrated. That freeze-dried cheese really does not want to take on water, so it takes a little bit of coaxing. But I just covered it and put it into the fridge and let it hang out until I was ready for it. Next, I like to get the Alfredo sauce ready, and that's a cup of water into the bottom of a blender cup. And then I kind of had to push down the powders in order to get my blade lid on the top, but I do like to blend this first. It just ensures that you don't have any lumps of powder in your Alfredo sauce. This is a really nice, thick Alfredo sauce. I wanted to show you the consistency of it here. So there's no pockets of dry powder left. It's completely incorporated. The only little chunks you see in there are that's from the Parmesan cheese. All right, and you can dump the rest of the ingredients into a large skillet, and then you can just add about 4.5 cups of water. I'm using my Buc-ee's cup. I love Buc-ee's. All right, stir it gently here because that pasta, the pasta noodles are so brittle right now. You don't want to do anything too vigorous because they'll just break on you. Get some heat going, and as this comes up to temperature, it'll be a lot easier to stir. The pasta will be a little bit more pliable, and you just want to make sure all of the pockets of sauce powders are completely incorporating into the water. Once you reach a really good vigorous boil, you can turn down your temperature a little bit. I ended up somewhere near medium, about a 4 out of 5 on my stove. You do want to continue to boil it because you're trying to cook your pasta. You want that pasta tender. I simmered this for about 10 minutes, and I learned the hard way that I should stir frequently. I had my pasta stick to the bottom quite a bit, so be sure that you stir it pretty frequently. And once your pasta is al dente, you can add that Alfredo sauce. I added a little bit more water into the container to get the rest of it out. But it's a really rich, luxurious sauce. Most $1 million spaghetti recipes are a layered recipe, so they'll combine the Alfredo sauce with the pasta and then layer on the meat sauce, or maybe vice versa. But I didn't want to do that. I just want a one pot wonder kind of dish. So I went ahead and combined everything. Bring that back to a simmer because you want to cook your Alfredo sauce. You want to melt that Parmesan cheese. Then give it a taste and make your adjustments. I waited until after I added the Alfredo because it has quite a bit of Parmesan in it to see if I needed more salt. And then I ended up adding another pinch of salt, and then it was perfect. All right, now it's time to check on that mozzarella cheese. Mine was great. You just fluff it up a little bit and it'll be ready to add to the top of your dish. Now, I went ahead and put this in the oven and broiled it for about 4 or 5 minutes. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You can put the lid on this and just let it sit until that mozzarella melts. This is after about 4 or 5 minutes of broiling. It gets really nice and browned on the top. Now it's time to let it sit. You need to let this sit and kind of set up, tighten up for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And after that rest period, it'll be ready to serve. It helps the sauce to thicken and for the pasta to continue to absorb the sauce. Everything is really flavorful at this point, and the casserole is really nice and tightened up. Just look at that. It's a beautiful casserole. See, it thickens up really nicely during that rest period. The combination of that red meat sauce with the Alfredo sauce, you get that nice orangey pink color, and I think it's gorgeous. This is a really, really rich dish. I bet that's why they call it $1 Million Spaghetti, is because it is such a rich tasting sauce. So yeah, look at that. You can see the meat in there, the green bell peppers, that gorgeous sauce. The pasta's nice and tender. And I wanted to show y'all, I got it finally on camera. A little bit of a cheese pull. That mozzarella on the top is really nice. Up next, this Cajun chicken pasta is one of my family's favorites. The Cajun seasoning makes it spicy and really special. So we're gonna have some yummy chicken and some vegetables and a cream sauce. And we'll use just a regular penne pasta, or if you prefer, you could use a gluten-free pasta. Pretty much any shape will do. I'm going to be using Judy's brand cream cheese powder and Anthony's brand heavy cream powder in this, along with a lot of seasonings. This is what's going to give it the Cajun flavor. This recipe is spicy, but it's delicious. You're going to start with a quart-sized jar. This will serve about 3 large servings. You'll start with a 1.5 cups of pasta, a cup of our chicken dices. You can use whatever kind of chicken you like in this. And then I went ahead and put the heavy cream powder sauce because it should settle down into the spaces there and give you more room. And then we'll add several vegetables. I used both red and green bell peppers and some tomatoes and sliced onions in this. And then I added the cream cheese powder and the mushrooms. The mushrooms are optional. I always say that they're optional. Pretty much everything in this is optional. You know, if you don't like it, don't use it. Our Parmesan cheese is nice and salty. The garlic's perfect in here. It really is a great recipe if you'll give it a try. And I promise it does all fit in the jar. I wanted to kind of zoom in and show you that once you get all your stuff in there and it's time for the seasonings, you can just pour them on the top and they'll settle down into the jar. So the Cajun seasonings I used were the Cajun two-step, some Old Bay, and the Tony Chachere's. I think that's how you say it. If you don't want it to be too spicy, just cut back on those amounts a little bit and it'll be less spicy. A bit of salt and pepper and parsley, and that's 1/2 teaspoon of our Thrive Life Chef's Choice seasoning. It's just an all-purpose seasoning. And see how those seasonings, they kind of settle down into the jar. They'll settle into the spaces, and you should have plenty of room. You can go ahead and include your oxygen absorber if you're going to store this for the long term. When you're ready to prepare it, you'll just need a large deep skillet or a large pot, and then the entire jar just goes right into the pot. And you'll just fill up your jar with water and then pour that over the top. So that's 4 cups of water or 1 quart of water, and that's all. That's all that needs to go in there. You'll stir this really well and try to incorporate those sauce powders in with the water. Go ahead and turn your heat on to medium-high and bring that up to a boil. And then you'll need to turn down your temperature to a medium-low. I ended up at a 3 out of 10 on my stove. And then I covered it, and it needs about 15 minutes of simmer time. And every once in a while, just come along and take that lid off, give it a stir. You just want to make sure the cheese and the pasta are not sticking to the bottom of your pan. But after about 15 minutes, you can remove the lid and you'll notice that your sauce has thickened up and there's a lot less liquid. That's because the pasta has absorbed that liquid as it cooks. Go ahead and taste. Make sure your pasta is getting tender, and you can add seasonings here if you need to. Allow this to cook another 5 minutes with the lid off. So an additional 5 minutes of a simmer uncovered. And that's it. It should be ready. When I went to take the pictures, it was about 10 minutes or so, and I wanted to show y'all just how it looks after about 10 minutes. The sauce thickens up upon standing. So there you go. There's our Cajun chicken pasta. Doesn't it look wonderful? The vegetables are there, the chicken's there, the pasta, the sauce. It's very good. I just topped it with a little bit of Parmesan and some chives I had growing in the garden. And that's it. We had this with a salad and with some garlic bread. It was delicious. Up next, beef stroganoff. You can use any kind of beef you have. It's all good. Or you can swap out the protein and substitute chicken instead. Chicken stroganoff is delicious as well. Today I have another meal in a jar recipe for you. This one is for beef stroganoff. It's something that I grew up eating. My mom always served it over buttered egg noodles. And beef stroganoff is just kind of beef and mushroom and onion in a beefy gravy that has sour cream added to it. So that's basically the ingredients we're going to use. Now, my mom always added Dijon mustard and Worcestershire to her beef stroganoff, so I am going to add those in powdered form. If you don't have those, you could just add them fresh when you go to cook them. All right, so once again, we're going to start with a quart-sized jar, and there's a couple of cups of the egg noodles in the bottom of the jar. And then I'm going to add the shredded beef to it. This, to me, it looked like it was going to be chunks of what roast would look like, and that's what it ended up being like, kind of roast. If you don't have that, you could definitely use the beef dices or the ground beef. Both of those would be really good. And now I'm just building up my sauce. There's that sour cream that makes this a beef stroganoff. Now, several times I did have to kind of pat it down, shake it down, and smush it down. It doesn't matter what order I put my ingredients in. It seems like I always mess this up, and my jars are like uber full. But eventually it all fit. It all did work out. And here is that Worcestershire and that mustard powder. The mustard gives it kind of a tang or kind of a bite. It's really kind of nice in there. And you can season this however you like. I did a little chef's choice, a little garlic, some salt and pepper. It's up to you. I think the green onions are probably one of my favorite things. I love the green onions. But if you don't have them, you don't have to add these. You could just add the regular chopped onions or the sliced onions. I used some of both. I was just about at the bottom of my sliced onion can, so I wanted to finish out those. But you could use either kind. They're both delicious. And if you're going to store this for the long term, go ahead and add a fresh oxygen absorber. All right, and this is what you would be storing on your pantry shelf. I think it's really pretty. You can see the noodles, the sauce, the beef, the mushrooms, and I think it makes a great gift as well because it's super easy to put together and to prepare. If you enjoy cooking with freeze-dried foods, please consider owning my cookbooks. They're both available on Amazon in paperback and as a digital download on my website, thefreezedriedfoodie.com. I'll link to both below. If you own freeze-dried food and want to be able to cook delicious meals with it, then you'll love having my cookbooks. They're loaded with completely shelf-stable meals and mixes. And although I wrote the recipes with Thrive Life ingredients in mind, you can use any brand, including home freeze-dried foods. All right, back to the recipe. And when you're ready, just get a large skillet that has a lid and just remove that oxygen absorber and then empty the contents of the jar into the skillet. Very simple. And then you add 4 cups of water. Yep, that's all you have to do. You'll want to do medium heat until you get to a boil. And after you get to a boil, give it a stir, put your lid on and crank down your heat. Turn it down to probably a medium low. I think I did mine about a 2 or 3 out of 10 on my stove. And then I cooked it for, probably 7 minutes or so. And then I just left it on a simmer and cooked it another 7 or 8 minutes with the lid off because I wanted that sauce to tighten up a bit. I wanted it to get a little bit thicker. And this is what you have after an additional 7 or 8 minutes of cook time with the lid off. See, it's nice and thick. Your noodles should be tender and your beef should be ready and rehydrated. Always give it a taste. Make sure it's seasoned properly. You can always add fresh sour cream if you would like. When I first filmed these original videos, what I would do is write the recipe for that video down in the description box below. And that is where you can still find all of the recipes today. I will link to the original videos down below in this description box. And then if you click on those original videos and look in the description boxes below those, that's where you will find the recipes for each of these videos. All right, up next, we've got chicken and noodles. Now this is very similar in flavor to a chicken noodle soup, but it's not a soup. It's definitely a casserole. I've got another yummy meal in a jar recipe for you today. This one is for chicken and noodles, not to be confused with chicken noodle soup. Okay, this is different. This is its own thing. I mean, the flavors are similar, but the texture is very different. This is something that has a delicious sauce, and then you can eat this with a fork. So it's got some substance to it. I am going to use that, I think it's Essenhaus brand of Amish egg noodle for this recipe. I get that at Walmart. Those Amish noodles are perfect for this recipe. It's got kind of simple seasonings in it. It's kind of a creamy sauce that will end up over the noodles and the chicken. And oh my word, y'all, it's so good. I'm going to start with a quart-sized jar. This recipe is going to give you 2 large servings of chicken and noodles. And I'm using some freeze-dried chicken slices. That's just what I had open. You can use whatever kind of Thrivalist freeze-dried chicken you have on hand. I put the bechamel sauce down in that chicken so it'll settle in the gaps and spaces. And the only veggies that go in this are celery, onions, and carrots. So it's really pretty simple. It's not heavy on vegetables. All right, as far as seasonings go, this is going to give you a really rich and flavorful broth. You'll start with some chicken bouillon powder, and then I'm using some Trinity shake here. Now that's something I get at Walmart. It's a seasoning, and all it is powdered onion, celery, and bell pepper. And I highly recommend it. If you don't have it, just don't worry about it. Also, you're going to need an all-purpose seasoning. You can use Thrive if you like, some freeze-dried thyme and parsley, and just a little pinch of cayenne. It won't make it spicy. It'll just give you a depth of flavor. Now it's time for the noodles. You need about 8 ounces of those Amish egg noodles. That package of those Amish egg noodles from Walmart, that's a 1-pound package. And you need to use about half of that to get the 8 ounces of noodles in there. I went ahead and put 1/4 cup of heavy cream powder just on top of the noodles, just to kind of settle down in the gaps, just so there's enough room in the jar for you to fit a little oxygen absorber, and then you can seal up your jar. I mean, that's all there is to it, folks. It's really simple. It's an easy recipe. It's a just add water recipe, and it's just so easy to make, and it's just one of those things that's super comforting. It's perfect for the fall and the winter months, I think. And my family really enjoys this recipe. I learned about it from the Pioneer Woman. I did not grow up eating chicken and noodles, but about 15 years ago, I read a blog post of hers, and she talked about chicken and noodles, and I thought, well, that sounds good. I mean, it seems like I'd like the flavors, and boy, did I. When you're ready to make this, just get out a large pot and add about 6 cups of water, and then just give it a stir. Be kind of gentle here because those noodles will break on you pretty easily at this point. Just try to incorporate the sauce powders and the water just a little bit. Don't worry about it too much. As you heat this, those sauce powders will dissolve. Okay, here's the salt and pepper that I actually had forgotten to add to my little bowl when I was putting the seasonings in there to begin with. You'll want to bring this to a boil over medium-high heat and stir it pretty often because those noodles are going to tend to stick on you. After this has come to a boil, you can reduce your heat. I left mine at a medium, so a 5 out of 10 on my stove. I wanted to maintain that boil. You need to simmer this for about 20 minutes. And that's a good enough amount of time for the noodles to get tender and for the chicken to completely hydrate all the way through. Your carrots will be tender at that point. And what you really need to do is you need to cook down most of that liquid, okay? So you need 6 cups of liquid to actually cook the noodles through, and then you'll want to cook down the rest of that liquid. Because this is not a soup, like I mentioned earlier. This is going to be more like noodles and chicken and sauce, okay? So you'll simmer that for somewhere around 20 minutes or so, and you'll notice the longer you simmer, the thicker it will become, and it'll get a little bit darker too. You can go ahead and give those noodles a taste test, see if you need to adjust your seasonings at all. If you think they're not tender yet, you can always add a little more water and cook it for longer. Now here's an optional ingredient. If y'all watched my channel much, you've seen me do this quite a few times. I love to add a little bit of extra fresh heavy cream. Just a few tablespoons is all you'll need, but it really does elevate the dish. You need to let that stand for just about 5 minutes, and as you do that, it will continue to thicken up. This is the consistency you're looking for. So something that you could scoop into a bowl and eat with a fork, but you don't want it dry. You definitely want a good amount of sauce on those noodles. The sauce is just so tasty. It's really, really delicious. We like to serve this in a bowl and then alongside it, a side salad. But isn't that a lovely dish? I just think this is so pretty. I just love that bright pop of orange from the carrot and then the green celery. I think it's just so lovely. My family enjoyed this so much. In fact, I wish I had made a double batch. It is so good. It's comforting. The sauce is flavorful. The noodles are perfect. I do recommend you get those Amish egg noodles from Walmart. Those are just the best ones to use for this recipe. And lastly, we've got the cheesy shells and beef. This one has a creamy, tomatoey, cheesy sauce. It lends itself towards a taco flavor, but that is optional. This recipe right here takes me straight back to 7th grade. We were living in Louisiana. We would come home from school exhausted in the afternoons, and my mom, who is a teacher at our school, would somehow crank out a fantastic meal every night, even though I'm sure she was completely exhausted herself. So this recipe is kind of based on what she used to feed us. Now, for the meal in a jar version I'm going to show you today, what I've done is I have taken my recipe for deluxe mac and cheese, and I've used that as a base, and I'm adding to that our beef and our tomato sauce and onions and some really yummy seasonings. So let me show you how I put it together. I'm starting with a 24-ounce jar. That's a 3-cup jar because I'm going to do 3 servings of this. Now, if you don't have a 24-ounce jar, just use a quart jar and you'll have some room at the top for some extra veggies, because I think it would be great with some zucchinis, some tomatoes, or mushrooms, whatever you want to add. Into my jar, I've already put 1.5 cups of the shells pasta. And to that pasta, I'm just going to add a bunch of powdered things. And the powders will settle down into the spaces. So I've got some instant milk, as well as some butter, sour cream, and heavy cream powder. And all of those powders are going to make a fantastic cheese sauce for our dish. And to that, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of the Thrivalist cheese sauce, as well as some cream cheese powder that I got from Amazon. I use the Judy's brand. I'm using both kinds of onions, both the chopped and the green onions. If you don't have those, you can just use all chopped onions. And then here goes the ground beef. I always pulse it in the blender, a lot better texture in the dish. There is the Thrivalist tomato sauce, as well as the Thrive beef bouillon. All right, I'm going to add to this lots of yummy seasonings. I put dry mustard in just about everything I put cheddar in. The Trinity shake is literally just onions, celery, and bell pepper that's been powdered. The paprika, the garlic powder, those are both going to add some yumminess. The optional chili powder and cumin, I added in mine. It gives it a little bit of a taco flair. And then we've got salt, pepper, cayenne, and nutmeg. Nutmeg might sound a little bit interesting, but it pairs really well with the cream. I'm having a hard time fitting everything in my jar, so I gave it another shake to settle it down. And I patted it with the back of that measuring cup. I still need to put all of my cheese in here, so I've got cheddar and Parmesan to add. I do suggest you blend that cheddar. It melts really smoothly if you blend it. And then, yeah, that's Parmesan. I'm trying to fit in there. It probably would have fit better into a quart-sized jar. But I got it in there eventually. All right, so this is what you could store on your shelf. And if you do make this in a quart-sized jar, you can fit some extra veggies in here, which would be great in your dish. When you're ready to prepare this, just go ahead and get out a large skillet. And then it's a really simple dump and go recipe. It's a just add water recipe. You'll just empty the contents of your jar into your skillet. And then to that, you're going to add water. I started with 3 cups of water, and later I added about another half cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup. Depends on the kind of pasta you use. It kind of depends on a lot of different factors as to how much water you add and how long you cook. So start with 3 cups, see how it goes, but don't be afraid to adjust. Bring that to a simmer over medium heat. You want to bring it to a boil, but not higher than medium heat because you don't want your cheese or your cream to break. So medium heat, let it come to a boil, then simmer it for about 15 minutes, and you can tell how thick it gets. You'll definitely want to stir from the bottom. Every 3 or 4 minutes, give it a really good stir from the bottom because the cheese and the pasta, they're going to want to stick. Here's where I added some additional water because, the pasta just was not tender. I tested it after about probably 12 minutes of simmering, and I could tell it would need more water and more time. So I went ahead and added an additional probably half cup, 3/4 of a cup of water, stirred it, let it continue to simmer over medium heat for another probably 5 minutes, and then I tasted and it was perfect. The pasta was tender. The flavor was on point. I loved it. I didn't add anything. I thought it was great. Now, my mom always added a little bit of extra grated cheese to the top of hers and let that melt. And so I thought that would be good today. Of course, you could use freeze-dried cheese that you have refreshed here if you prefer. I covered it and I moved it off of the heat source so that the pasta on the bottom wouldn't stick. And I let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes and let that cheese melt. The sauce will thicken as it stands. It's ready to serve up. It's nice and thick. The cheese is beautifully melted. That right there is just comfort in a bowl. It's super yummy. If you include the chili powder and the cumin in there, it'll have a little bit of that taco flavor, and it's so good. I highly recommend that if you like taco flavor. If not, it's good without it. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, there we have it. Our cheesy shells and beef. Y'all, that's so good. Well, all right, y'all, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this compilation video of some of my favorite pasta meals. And don't forget, if you need the recipes for these, to click on the original videos, which I will link below, and that is where you can find the recipes. As you can imagine, I have lots of other pasta recipes up on my channel. I've been doing this for a few years now, so I have lots and lots of recipes that feature pasta. I'll put some of the pictures from those recipes up on the screen now. And if you're interested in any of those recipes, you can just visit my channel, click the videos tab, and then look at all of my past videos. All right, I want to end my video with a scripture of the day. And today's verse comes from the book of Proverbs. These are wise sayings, and this is a good one for you. This is Proverbs 19, verse 11, and it reads, "Good sense makes one slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook an offense." All right, guys, I hope you have a blessed week and a wonderful day. And until next time, y'all, take care and keep thriving.